Hello, my wonderful students. How are you doing today? Hope you are doing great, and I hope you are staying safe. Today, we'll be looking at the topic Nigerian Constitution. It is an interesting topic, and at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to divine what constitution is, list five characteristics of an ideal constitution, and list four sources of constitution. The subtopic we're going to treat today includes the characteristics of constitution and the sources of constitution. What is constitution? Constitution can be defined as the whole body, fundamental laws, customs, conventions, principles, rules, and regulations through which a country is being governed. To simply put it, the constitution of a country is the overall laws that is used to govern a country. And that is the highest form of rules and regulations. There are some rules and regulations that constitution governs over. Constitution is the final of the rules and regulations that governs a country. So that means that constitution of the country, they are the laid down rules and regulations on how a state is being ruled and is being governed. Both the rule and the ruler. The ruled are the subjects, while the rulers are the leaders. So, constitution, have it at the back of your mind that it is the rules and regulations that we use in governing the state, both the rule and the ruler. In essence, constitution is the supreme law. No law is above constitution of a country. It's the supreme law, and in as much as it's the supreme law, no any other law supersede it. So it is used to govern the country. Welcome back. So what we are saying is that constitution is used as a final law to govern the country. Without the constitution, the government cannot rule the state conveniently because the constitution is the supreme, the highest law. In that case, let's look at the characteristics of an ideal constitution. When you want to talk about constitution, you talk about what a good constitution should be. Number one, a good constitution should be clear. What do I mean by being clear? It should be crystal, yes. Not only being crystal, it should be easy to understand. It should be made very simple. And anybody that picks up the constitution should be able to read and understand it. That's why the language that is used for constitution is a universal language, which is English language. So that anybody that picks it up, when they read it, they can be able to understand what they have read in it. And another thing is that it should be concise. Concise. There is no room for any unnecessary and irrelevant matters. They go straight to the point. Every point listed in the constitution is well outlined. It is well outlined. It is very, very concise. And another ideal characteristic of Nigerian constitution is the fundamental rights. All the rights of the people are well stated in it. The right to live, the right to education, the right to own a property, and so on and so forth. All these fundamental rights are being listed in the Constitution. And another ideal characteristic is reflection of public opinion. Reflection of public opinion. all the demands and expectation of the people reflect in the constitution. All the demands and the expectation of the people are reflected in the constitution. So constitution is not just a one-way thing. It covers virtually everybody's every citizen's needs. It's well, virtually everybody is well represented, and there is balanced nature between flexible and rigid constitution. When we get to the types of constitution, you discover that in the Nigerian constitution, it is well balanced. There are some constitutions that are rigid, there are some that are flexible. Those are the uh, characteristics of an ideal constitution. Another one is amendment process. In the constitution, the amendment process is being stated in the constitution what to be followed whenever any amendment is to be made. That is talking about the flexible part of the constitution. The amendment process is well stated. How they're going to do it, what they're going to do, the process they're going to follow is well stated there. Let's look at the sources of constitution. How are these constitutional laws and rules being formed? How do they come to be? Number one, we have written documents. Written documents. The constitution, any constitution, most especially the Nigerian constitution, we're being gotten from the documents, history of what has been happening all this while. And from that history, they were able to learn from where they are falling, where they have made mistakes, where they were successful, and they bring it to law. Just like in 1960 when we had the independence, in 1963 we had the republic, the country was made to be a republic country, and in 1983 another constitution was formed. In 1999 another constitution was formed. The trend of what has been happening in the country generated some constitutions, some laws, some rules that were being documented. Then we have some past experiences in different fields, such as the political field, the economical field, the social field, the historical field, the geographical field. All these experiences were gathered together to form as a source of constitution. Then there are some intellectual works that some people have done that they were so knowledgeable that they can learn from them, and they were being adapted as part of the constitution, such as the Marx work, the Hobbies, the Lucky, the Dicey, etc. Their works are part of the intellectual works that are being used as part of the sources of constitution. Then we have conventions. Conventions, they are the things that happen in a particular society that are not being written down, but they are laws, and they must be obeyed by the citizen or the occupants of the society or the village or the town. I could remember while I was growing up, my parents used to take me to my hometown. And back there at the hometown, there was no running water. I mean, there was no tap water. So we made use of well water and stream water. And there is a particular water that is edible, that you can drink. You can drink it, but other water from the well or some other streams, they are hard water. So everybody go to this particular water to get it for cooking and for drinking. But there is this law that it was not documented because it is a convention of that place, that you don't go to the stream from 6 p.m. in the evening. And what was the superstition there? They said that the the mami water of that river will be taking care of our own children. Yes, it was not written down, but everybody follows the law. There are so many laws in our society, in our community, that they're not being written down, but there are conventions that we practice and we obey them. And that boils to unwritten documents, you know, their customs, the way they do things, the way they dress, the way the kind of food they eat, their principle of life, their ways of life, the rules that they follow, the regulations that guides the country. They are not being written, but they are well and strictly followed by the citizens. Those are the um, sources of constitution. We have the judicial pronouncements as well. Judicial pronouncement is when a matter or issue is at the court, and the court, the justice or the judge at the court makes some lay down bills and laws, pronounce some judgments, and whatever the judge says is it's final, because it has verdict concerning it. So what we are saying in essence is that there are some judicial pronouncements that are being part of the constitution, because from the judiciary, it is law itself. So anything, any judgments coming from the judiciary, it is law and it is binding. So those are the of sources of constitution. We have come to the end of today's lesson, but let's quickly have recap of what we treated. And we said that the topic was Nigerian constitution, and these are the rules and regulations that governs the people of the country. That the rules and regulations that governs the people of the country. That the laid down rules and regulations that governs both the rule and the ruler. And not only that, the constitution is a supreme law. There is no law that is above constitution, and it's the highest law that a country that governs a country. The ideal constitution comprises of the following characteristics. Number one, clarity. It must be clear. The language that is used to write the constitution should be clear and known to all and sundry, such as a universal language like English language. Not only that, when it is being picked up, anybody that reads this must be able to understand it without any interpretation. Then it must be go straight to the point, coincide. No need, no matter for, there is no place for talking unnecessary or irrelevant matters in it. Their fundamental rights are well stated. Rights such as right to life, right to live, right to own property, right to education, and so on and so forth. Then, reflection of the public opinion is also part of the things that are in the constitution. There is balanced nature in constitution. From the types of constitution that we will treat in our next class, we have rigid and flexible type, of which rigid is static and flexible, you can adjust it. It is amendable. So some parts of the constitutions are rigid, which is normal, is like that, because if it is not rigid, selfish interests will make them to twist it to their own gain. And some are flexible, whereby, you know, as there is advancement, as there is development in the country, it is expected for the country to move in such trend. So when the country is moving in such trend, there are some little adjustments that will be done in it. And amendment process as well is well and explicitly stated there. So that in the course of adjusting the flexible constitution, the amendment processes will be followed. Excuse me. Sources of constitution. We have written constitution, the past experiences, intellectual works, conventions, unwritten documents, and judicial pronouncements. Have a blessed day. Copy your notes on the website, and I wish you best of luck.